today was a nice fucking long one. 4 hours spent to and fro the school apartment in a 10-foot U-Haul. You know, right in the middle. Hour and a half of unloading my bed and everything out of the school apartment. Finally back. So, I feel a little bit... Well, I get to sleep a little bit on the way home. I had halfway back, had my dad drive while he took a nap in the passenger seat. So, very well hydrated, that is a certainty. Decently well fed. I've had about 2,000 calories for the day so far, consisting of, in the morning, after cardio, I stopped at McDonald's and had 2 Egg McMuffins. Not for any particular reason, apart from I just kind of wanted them. 300 calories each. I'm pretty sure the macros were about 13 grams of protein, 13 grams of fat, and 30 grams of carbs for each one of those. So that was about a 600 calorie breakfast. And then on the way to, when we were moving around, had some Chipotle. 3 soft flour tacos, double steak, cheese, lettuce, corn. That added up to about 900 calories, which is certainly a pretty dense chunk, but there's a reasonable amount of time between those 2 meals where I wasn't so concerned with kind of, you know, a big, let's just say a big calorie intake all at once. But needless to say, I can already feel the beta-alanine and, you know, related chemicals in my body starting to get me tingling and amped up for legs. So plan today, not totally certain. Hamstrings, I know exactly what the lift is going to look like. There will be, you know what? I don't know. I don't even really I like it. But the seated hamstring curl at this gym, I haven't been loving it. Like, I like it, but I think I like the laying curl a bit more. So I think I might just start with the laying curl instead of the seated one today. Maybe not go so fucking crazy heavy. Definitely going to do some supersets of hamstring curls into RDLs. And honestly, that's not a bad idea for really any fucking movement, you know. If I think we're all reasonably acquainted with a drop set. You know, you're doing chest press, you finish, you get to about failure with whatever weight you're working with, put the weight down, drop it, 30, 40 pounds, then bust out some more reps. Pretty solid intensifier, I've been known to throw them in, but I don't mind, and I actually really do like changing it up in terms of what exercises you're doing at the same time too. So almost like a, kind of drop set, superset-ish. That'd be like doing a set of chest press, and then immediately after failure, jumping on the pec deck, and burning out with that. So it's kind of hard to go wrong too. Honestly, you could pick any 2 movements for any muscle group, and if you turn it into a superset, it's probably going to be a good set. I'm talking burnout on the leg extensions and then immediately jump onto the leg press. You'll have to go a little bit lighter than if you were your full strength, but still a really solid fucking rep. And then, let's see, what else? Well, whatever, man. You could do front raises into shoulder press, leg curls into RDLs, lat pull downs into pullovers. It's really kind of up to you. There is absolutely no limit to your imagination when it comes to these little combinations. But I do, when it comes to RDLs, your hamstrings are definitely responsible for some hip hinging, to the point where I want to add some in at least reasonably frequently, just to make sure I hit my hamstrings in their entirety. So I'll definitely add some. But I'm kind of torn, because if I do hamstring You know, if I do RDLs, if I do RDLs, you know, really heavy, kind of as an earlier movement in the lift, then, you know, I'd have to go heavy enough where I'm using some lower back, I'm using my glutes, I'm not really feeling my hamstrings firing, you know. So for me, I think RDLs are more of a lighter squeezing movement, which perfect with a, you know, kind of a superset pre-exhausting kind of movement beforehand. But hamstrings, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that they're going to get pumped up. You know, for me, hamstrings are not a weak point when it comes to the training. Like I can smack them around, get them pretty fatigued and pumped, pretty much without fail. You know, but quads are a little bit stingier. You know, if I didn't get a good night's rest, if I'm a little bit dehydrated that day, or I guess just out of it for whatever reason, then quads they demand a little bit more of you. And if you've ever had a really good leg day, you know, fucking everything maxed out, hype, rest, how recovered you are, just your kind of excitement to actually do it, those are the best leg days. Those are the best quad days, at least. So something to keep in mind. You know, if you're gonna have one lift where you put a little bit more emphasis in making sure that everything that's going to relate to your workout's quality beforehand was, you know, in order. I'm talking about getting more than just a Monster in the morning and a Coke Zero for lunch. You know, that's probably not going to cut it hydration wise. And getting more than 4 hours of sleep because you couldn't stop losing gunfights. Let's just say this, you're probably not going to have the best leg day. But once hamstrings are finished, which probably won't even take too many sets, you know, for me, at least when I'm dieted down, hamstrings are pretty much wrecked after, I mean even 4 or 5. So, if I had to guess, I would think after 5-ish really solid sets of hamstrings today, then quads will get started immediately. Primary movement, leg extensions, partially because I don't need the stress on my entire my entire system from really heavy squatting. That's something which I'm a little more concerned with when I'm trying to bulk up and leverage growth. In terms of like maintaining my quad size, which, right now, given that I'm in a dieting phase, that's all I'm trying to do. I always trim down on the heavy squats whenever I'm dieting, just because it's gonna. I don't know if I've talked about this recently, but the reason I don't do deadlifts, for as much, I'm sure somebody's done testing where they put electrodes on some guy's lats and his mid traps and everything, and like he gets a solid back activation doing deadlifts. Of course, it's going to work your back, but it's so kind of just systemically fatiguing that the amount of energy you're going to spend on really heavy deadlifts, I think, would be better spent on lat pull downs or cable rows or pullovers. Things that are a little bit more. What's the word I'm thinking of here? Well, just less overall taxing energy-wise. So squats kind of fits into that for me a little bit more in a 800 grams of carbs per day kind of bulking phase. Like I've in all the diets that I've done previously, 95% of the quad work ends up just being leg extensions, and some of those leg extensions are heavy. There's some heavy sets, but they're not it's definitely not as much force and load into my quads as a really heavy squat. But after every dieting period, once I throw squats back in, I'm still right up at the same working weight that I was beforehand. So name of the game is pump up my legs as much as possible and make sure they don't shrink down or weaken, so that once I'm a little bit leaner in 2.5, 3 weeks, I'll be nice and primed to leverage some quad growth. I'm going to make sure to get some measurements this bulk as well. I'm talking measure around my quads, measure around my fucking arms, my forearms, everything, so I can actually have a little bit more intel onto just how much how much I will manage to grow over the next, 5, 6, however many months that this next bulk progresses on for. But that's something to look forward to in the future. Let's focus on the lift in hand. So I can almost guarantee it's going to be dead in here. Let's just get amped up and get started. All right, let's get started. Okay. Two more heavy ones like that. Oh, goodness. Okay. I gotta drop the weight. Whew. Not by much, but a little. Oh. Let's keep busting these out. Okay. Oh my God. One more like that. I lied. Not a drop set. Let's do some kind of tempo reps. So, same as normal, straight set, same weight for the whole set. But for the first few reps when I'm strong, halfway up, hold it for a second, and then I've got to flex my hamstrings extra hard to get the weight moving again. Because you got to remember, or at least realize, like when I do these reps earlier, where the rep is one complete smooth fluid motion, once you get that weight moving, you kind of get to ride that momentum up to the top. So not that it's a bad rep, but the feeling and kind of like the, I don't know, sort of the amount of signaling that I'd have to send like my biceps to do one straight up curl versus halfway up, pause it, and then get it moving again. Very different. I'm not saying one's necessarily better or worse, but different. Let's do some RDLs. Smith machine. No. All right, no superset. Let's just do a straight up, 2-plate Smith RDL. And there's a few things I'm thinking about. This probably doesn't apply to everyone, but whenever I do these, if I have my feet way out here, I'm just getting all glutes. I got them right next to each other, literally toes touching, and I turn my heels out a little bit. So instead of having my feet like a duck, they're a little more like, I don't know, like somebody who's walking around like they're nervous with their feet turned inward. But like this kind of right below the bar. And I mean, RDLs are tricky, man. I can't tell you like, oh, just flex your hamstrings, not your glutes. You know, it's not that, it's not probably not just gonna click like that. So I didn't do RDLs for years just because I couldn't really get the feel for them. But I do like them now, at least a little. So let's throw this one around. Very squeeze focused on this. Oh. Not such an abrupt failure, but that was actually, no. Let's lose the plate and do a superset into it. So I'll pre-exhaust with a set of leg curls and then scurry over and do one more of these. And I think that'll be it for hamstrings. Excuse me. There we go. Oh my goodness. Okay. Hams are wrecked. I think I'm gonna come back here for sissy squats in little, so I'll leave a plate on for now. All right. No time to waste. Let's get some single leg, heavy leg extensions going. And then just decide where to go from here. Right after I pick a better song. Oh, goodness. Okay. Let's do a few extra. felt like I gave up at 20 reps a little bit. Let's go a little heavier for the next one. Same style. Then do some kind of pressing. Okay, a few more just like that. Oh. Okay. Let's do some weighted sissy squats next. Yeah, even one plate is pretty fucking heavy after those 3 sets of leg extensions. So I'll do one plate for as many as possible. Not typical squat fashion. It'll look much more like this. Pretty much all quad, be the primary mover. And then once I'm just about a failure, I'll rack it and then just do bodyweight sissy squats to burn out. Maybe 2 of these. Let's see how the first one goes first. Oh my God. Oh God. Oh. Holy shit. Oh. That was really good. Let's run it back one more time. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I think let's do one more set of leg extensions. And quads are wrecked. Jesus, man. That was a real, I mean, only one plate superset it into body weight. That's pretty effective use of fucking pounds. Oh my God. I'm thinking alternating single rep legs, or alternating single leg reps, do some more sissy squats, and that'll be it. Reasonably lightweight too. Oh, guys. Okay. Let's go pose down. Okay. Legs are officially complete. Just standing up, not flexing at all. They're like, I mean, this is fucking tense on my hands, which that is a goddamn good thing. So let's see how they're looking. The hamstring pump should have subsided a touch by now, but quads should be in their fucking prime. So let's see how they're looking. There should be some vein action in here as well. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you tell me. Actually, let's change lighting spots. Yeah, look at that. Lighting made all the fucking difference. Ooh. I mean, look, that's a fucking quad pump. I might actually want to back up a touch more. I mean, that's what I would go so far as to say is an undeniable quad pump. I forget, is the Arnold pose this way? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh. Yeah, man, I mean, just standing, dude, that is a fucking leg among legs. And for only 2,000 calories, literally like 200 something grams of carbs intake for the whole day, I am absolutely fine with this. That's fucking sick. But all done. Let's pull my pants back on. It's been a few minutes. It has even been a few minutes, which isn't really what I'm about to say. It's not so special when I'm bulked up. Like peak bulk, I kind of stay pumped for like half an hour until it really starts dissipating. So dieting, you know, the pump is quick to fade. You know, I'm not so full of 1,000,000 grams of carbs and everything else. So for me to still have my legs feel this swollen, dude, I love it. That's yeah, that style, that sissy squat kind of style. Not even for the weighted sissy squats on the Smith machine. That's kind of that can be a little bit funky for some people. Just on their knees, it is very, I mean, it's literally all knee, you know. So if your knees aren't in like let's just say tip-top shape, then you're probably not gonna love that movement. But something about the stretch that I get on my quads from, I mean, it's kind of hard to convey, but like when I'm at the bottom of those reps, even the ones where it's just body weight and I'm holding onto the machines for support after, you know, burning out with leg extensions or whatever to start, something about that stretched position, it's just, I don't know, man. I know for a fact it's fucking highly conducive for my quad pumps, because I almost feel like at the bottom, like that last kind of few inches of, or a few degrees of bending of my knee, it's not even like I'm manually flexing my quads to shoot myself back up. It's almost like I'm just stretching out my quad like it's a spring, especially when I'm really kind of pumped up, because, you know, it's just kind of the nature of what happens. When you pump up a muscle, it's going to kind of contract and get a bit tighter at baseline. So something about just like that really deep stretch from the sissy squats, even just body weight, I swear it's going to get some extra, what's a good unit? What's a good volumetric unit? Some extra cc's of blood into your fucking quads in terms of your fucking pump. You know what I'm saying? So I would recommend it, you know. And what are you going to lose? Best case scenario, or no, let's start with the worst case. Worst case scenario, you do a set of leg extensions, you immediately stand up, do some sissy squats, and you say, oh, I don't really like that. Move on. Best case scenario, you get the greatest quad pump of your life, and then you realize you can never go back. And you kind of have to think, like, what have I been doing this whole time? But no, that is a fucking good thing. So I think the sissy squats are kind of rare, you know, in terms of what most quad work is. I'd say, from what I can tell, squats, leg press, leg extensions, but that sissy squat, something about that crazy deep stretch at the bottom, and just kind of, I don't know, the burning out nature of doing the body weight, where you're giving yourself assistance by holding onto something for support too. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, I mean, that's all I got. Quads really fucking, I mean, how many times can I say, oh, my legs are pumped? They're pumped. That was a good lift. One thing I started with today, though, that I didn't record when I was warming up, before I do any hamstring curls, and I would recommend this to anybody who gets a little bit of discomfort in the back of their knee, right, that little kind of pit area-ish, if hamstring curls mess with you back there, I do not think it's a bad idea to warm up your calves before you start doing any real hamstring work. Your calves are like the forearms of your legs, and your forearms come into play in curls. Your hamstrings, or no, your calves also come into play in hamstring curls, just a touch. So if they're not warm, you know, as much as you can warm up your hamstrings, if your calves are still kind of achy, right up in that little tendony area, you're not going to notice the difference. And you're just going to think, oh, hamstrings kind of hurt, I'm not going to go that hard on them. No. Right? Ease into it, do some body weight calf raises, just single leg, bounce around, get some tension in there. And then once you actually start hamstring curls, at least I've noticed, I haven't had any discomfort in the back of my knees forever. Except for, you know, the rare occasion like last Christmas when I pulled my hamstring going too heavy like a fool, which I am actively working on. You know, the last thing I want to do is fucking hurt myself. That's a fool's errand for sure. And then same thing with your knees, man. If you're not a massive leg extension fan, every time you move on to leg extensions, your knees are on fucking fire. I'd want to ask you this question. Are you starting with light warm-up sets before you actually get into it? If I tried to jump on the leg extension completely cold, even though my quads could handle the weight, if I tried to do those super heavy leg extensions like I was doing for the working sets, my knees would be on fucking fire. I wouldn't even be able to do the whole set because it would hurt me. I'd be like, this does not feel right. I can't do this right now. So after, you know, warming up with just, I mean, I started with 50 pounds on, so 50 pounds on the leg extension, single leg, just one leg, like it felt like nothing. Couple reps back and forth, then move up to 75 pounds, then 100 pounds, then 120, then 140, then you know, gradually increasing the weight to expose myself to it before I start any real working sets. Which, I like that approach for pretty much everything, you know. For chest, I warm up my triceps, I warm up my shoulders, I warm up my chest itself, literally just by doing kind of cable presses, single arm, just getting some blood in the area, getting exposed to some weight before I even start doing my real warm up for like, you know, inclined Smith machine, or I do a plate for a couple, then 2, then 3, and then get into it. You know, I think that's not even I think, I would pretty much recommend that for basically all fucking workouts, you know? Unless you're really in a rush, which I'll talk about in a second. I think your workouts should look similar to this. And this is just, you know, this is just an opinion. You know, I'm not saying this is fact. But let's say I'm about to hit legs like I just did today. You know, I want to warm up my calves so they're not hurting me. I want to warm up my hamstrings, but not do warm-up sets. I can't emphasize this enough. The warm-ups should not take any energy away from you. I am not even breathing heavy in my warm-up sets. All I'm doing is exposing myself to the weight so that I'm, you know, comfortable with whatever. I mean, like laying curls today. If I just jumped straight to laying curls and tried throwing that weight around, I'd probably pull my hamstring and hurt myself. So by easing into it, but also not tiring myself out in the process, then I can start with my heavy working load and get a good set out of it, so that I'm kind of, I mean, from 0 to 100, I kind of want to start the workout as close to 100 as I can get. I'm not talking, you know, a 1 rep max, but if I were to do an arm day where I did like 5 sets of dumbbell curls, you know, increasing weight, pyramiding up each time, where I did like 20 reps with the 30s, and then 20 reps with the 40s, and 20 with the 50s, or 15 with the 50s, whatever, and then working my way up to like my top set of 8. Like I've seen this workout written out. I don't see it really done so much, but you know, it's kind of a classic approach. Definitely, I'm sure if you like asked your dad to lead you through an arm workout, he'd probably do something like this. You know, 20 reps with the 30s, or 20 reps with a lightweight, then 15 reps with a little bit of a heavier weight, then 12 reps with a little heavier, 10 with a little heavier, and then 8 with the heaviest, and then move on to a new movement. You know, kind of pyramiding up. But I don't think that those initial sets really do much for you. You know, you're not really doing those hard working sets until you get to that 12, 8, you know, 10 rep range. And the sets in the beginning are just, you know, for the sake of warming up. So, you know, at least in my eyes, I think the warm-up should be completely separate from the actual lifting session itself. Because then, you know, once you're exposed to the weight, you don't have to warm up again in between movements. When I do a chest day, after I've warmed up and I've done my first heavy set of working presses, I don't need to warm up anymore. I might do a feeler rep to like get a gauge for what weight I want to use on different machines. But when I move from incline dumbbell to incline Smith machine or hammer strength press or cable flies, I don't have to do warm-up sets on each of those movements. I can jump straight to the working sets and, you know, really get the workout started. Because your really hard working sets, the ones where you're really hitting failure legit, that's where that's where the money is. That's where the gold is hidden, right? I don't think that, well, this is obvious, but all I'm trying to say there is don't waste your energy with fluff sets. If you're really pushing it and each of your sets are pretty much as hard as you can go within a reasonable rep scheme, I'm not talking to 100 rep set of curls like a David Goggins, you know, hard motherfucker, but he's not training for hypertrophy. You know, he's not training to build his biceps. So, you know, if your sets look anything like this, then I say go as hard as you can, and then once you're fully pumped and you feel like you've done enough, which, you know, that you kind of get better at that over time. Like, I was doing way too much volume as a beginner, but let me keep going. If you really push a set for, you know, a weight where you can do 8 reps and you fail at 8 or at 9, right around there, and that's a good heavy set for you, and you know you pushed it, that's a badass set. If you do a lighter weight where you're up in more like the 20, even 25 rep range, I don't even mind a 30 rep set sometimes if it's a light weight and I'm trying to really squeeze. And at the end of it, whatever muscle you're hitting is like fucking seriously on fire, like you're getting to the point where you just can't continue, that's also a good set. And then anything in between, plus like some drop sets, you know, you could do a really heavy set of 8 drop the weight by like, 75%. Like I could go from curling the 80s or, well, maybe not. I could go from doing a heavy curl like the 60s and then immediately, once I hit failure, grab the 20s and burn out with some light squeezing reps. Just, when you did a hard set. A lot of this stuff, we all know. The basics of working out, which, is kind of nice because the basics are where all the progress is really hidden. Everyone knows it. Eat your protein. Get a good amount of sleep. Stay hydrated. When you're in the gym, go as fucking hard as you can. Without hurting yourself, of course. With reasonable form, of course. And then, guess what? It's not magic. It's not even a question. The guy who gets a solid amount of sleep, eats the right amount of food, if he's trying to bulk up or cut down, whatever, trains like a beast, he is gonna look like he lifts after not too long. The only thing that's keeping anybody from doing that is, being able to work out pretty much on a near daily routine, have a decent schedule, and just keep pumping the shit out, I feel kind of weird when I talk about, because sometimes I kind of have a little bit of a, well, this is kind of intentional, but I kind of have like a motivating demeanor. I'm like, come on, you got to just hit it but, if you really want gains, then it shouldn't even be a question of motivation, It's like, if you want to go to the bathroom, you walk up, you go to the bathroom, you shut the door, and you do your business. If you want to get a sandwich, you get up, you go to the kitchen, you cut it up, you make it, and you get a little treat for yourself, man. So if you want to grow, it's not a mystery. This is not an Indiana Jones episode 7, scroll of the golden era. There's no trials and tribulations that you have to go through to figure this stuff out. It's a guarantee. And if you know somebody who hasn't started working out and they're like, oh, well, I don't know if I could get that. I don't know if I could do that. Negative mentality. Come on, man. Your optimism should borderline and exceed delusion. And then as long as you match that with a good workout routine, guess what? It's going to become a reality. So that's where, I always end these little statements with the guys who want it, they get it. The people in the gym working the hardest, it's not because they've magically been blessed, man. It's just they know that they want to go hard and that's what they got to do to get results. And I think it's kind of silly how much of a negative connotation people have about training. I haven't talked about this for a while. This is a real gripe for me. When I see people posting about working out and it's all just like the most negative motivators you can come up with, it's like, oh, dude, I've talked to dudes where they're like, yeah, if I don't convince myself that I'm a piece of shit, if I don't do this set as hard as I can, then, I'm not happy with myself. Which, I guess in the end you're going hard, but I don't think that's the way to do it. You shouldn't have to be convinced. I think it's so fucking silly when people turn my workouts into really depressing, kind of like sad music, like really somber. I guess it matches, I look like I'm dying when I'm doing my sets. But it's because I want to do it. I want to go hard. It's just what I like. So if you can somehow rewire your brain where you enjoy the training and you enjoy the process and you enjoy the results that you're getting, it's like working a job that you love. You're not actually working, you're just doing something you like. So that's all I gotta say there, man. I'm be a little bit more hope core instead of having such a doomer mentality. Oh my goodness. Getting a pump should be fun. You know what I'm saying? So that's my 2 cents on the matter, at least. But even though I say that, I've definitely had lifts where I was just pissed off at like whatever else, and it is a good outlet. It is most certainly a good outlet if you're going through some shit. But don't let that be your primary motivating factor. Because, anything that you do that's, just in an overarching kind of description, anything that you do that's motivated by negativity, there's no fun in it. You know, if you're doing I've said this speech before, I don't need to repeat it again, but the more often that your motivators can be intrinsic for your own, personal satisfaction, not going around kind of a little loop-de-loop of like, okay, I'm going to feel good if I get this big because then these people will like me. Like, no, you're barking up the wrong tree on that one. Go hard, get results, because you enjoy the process of doing it. And anybody that's lifted for more than a few years, they know, or at least I would hope that they know what I'm talking about. You should reach a level of, kind of a level of just, not giving a fuck, which I think everybody should kind of, everybody should get to eventually. The more energy and the more time and just the more kind of interested you are in things that you're doing for your own sake, and not in like a selfish way. I mean, like, going to bed on time, right? Just being a little bit more protective of your own peace. A lot of random just BS that's, anything that's on the, the mental, spiritual level of TikTok, social media influencer drama, anything that's on that wavelength will begin to slowly be phased out of your thoughts, and that is a good thing. But that's the end of my little rant. I'm just going off right now. I could probably keep talking for like 3 hours. So plan now is to get some rest. Repeat the same shit again tomorrow, man. 30 minutes of cardio, not that hard to some people, and hopefully that's you. Hopefully it's fucking seamless for you to do your cardio. But okay, no more rambling. I gotta go to bed. So I'll see you tomorrow for chest.